First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dupdan Tarji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of the group practice today, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, Yellow Jambala. Sunu, Tanchen Gatso, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet. Our participating VIPs today are the wife of Ambassador Dongzhou Liao, the rep from Taipei Mission to Sweden and Norway, Dharma Sister Judy. From Canada, Dr. Olivia. And Dr. Wei and his parents. And from Taiwan, the president of IT Corporation, Dharma Brother Ge. Good evening, everybody. How do you do? In Cantonese. Yeah, what's happening with that Dharma sister? You fell off your chair? So today we had the practice of Yellow Jambala, the group practice of Jambala. The Yellow Jambala is also Vaishravana. Together with the 4 heavenly kings, which is Vaishravana, is Jambala, and Dhritarashtra, Virupaksa, and Virudaka. So they are the 4 heavenly kings, the supporter of Buddha Dharma. So these 4 heavenly kings are supporters of Buddha Dharma as well as supporters of the human world. In Taiwan,
不是说台湾人不赌博。
So in Taiwan
叫通书
and
这是一本书
and in
翻起来
Hong Kong are called
可以
differently.
看日期
It's like
看
a
日
book that you
算
can
命
check
卜卦
on
还有这个
dates
很多
for fortune
东西在里
telling,
面
psychic
等于
thing,
是就是那个隶书啦，隶书
divination.
香港人好像比较喜欢赌博。他这个对
So it
书
sounds like
书
because
这
su
个
the
特别敏感，
sound
所以他们不叫通书，叫通胜。通胜就是会赢的意思。是不是？你们从香港来，叫通胜，通胜。那么你在通胜里面常常会看到几个小字，在哪一天的时候是四天王行守日。四天王行守日，你们如果注意看那个这个通胜、通书就可以看到四天王行守日。什么是四天王行守日？那个就是说，那一天的时候四大天王下降，他在人间巡守，在人间呢，也就是说，在那边观察人间的状况。好像我们简单讲起来，就是等于警察在巡逻，警察在巡逻的这个意思。这四天王一般来讲，你要相应是比较快。为什么我说比较快？因为它比较接近人间。你看哪一个活菩萨有在这个通书里面有写到说某某佛下降人间巡守？没有这回事。活菩萨都是安稳坐在那里，他不动的。四天王是动的，所以四个天王他等于是在巡逻人间，瞻察人间的善恶，应该赐福的他就给予赐福，应该记过的就给予记过，是这样子的。所以你如果注意那一本书里面，他有写到四天王巡守日，也就是四天王在整个人间在巡守。我觉得相应的事情，相应活菩萨这个事情，今天就谈到相应的事情。其实越低级的灵越容易相应，越低的灵越容易相应。最容易相应的，在人间的灵界，人跟灵界最容易相应的就是鬼，就是过世。你不去招惹鬼，鬼也会来找你。你不去招惹他，他也会来找你。所以有很多人是冲犯的，很多人遇到事情，大部分很多人是冲犯的。其实是因为人跟鬼的这个境界差不多。你没有看到鬼你看不见鬼，但是你走过鬼的身体，那你就冲犯了。 一个道理就是这个样。所以我们讲鬼伯，鬼伯他养那么多的鬼，他很容易相应。他相应的鬼，他跟所有的鬼都相应，所以他可以差遣那些鬼，那些鬼的东西出来害人，鬼也会帮助他，鬼也会帮助这个鬼伯的。所以你看很多的艺人，你知道，很多的艺人，也就是说这个演艺人员，他希望他有很多的粉丝啦，他希望有很多的粉丝，所以很多的艺人他流行养小鬼。你看泰国那地方，你只要去，你想养小鬼，他都可以教你，然后你请一个小鬼回去，你慢慢养，养了以后呢，你这个艺人跟鬼也会相应，相应了以后呢，就能够出去，你去演唱底下的人那个都尖叫一个男的艺人在台上甩一下头，这底下的那些小姐跟那些女孩子全部晕倒，全部都昏倒过去。这是什么原因会有那种力量出来？因为这个艺人本身有养小鬼，那随身他都带着鬼，然后这鬼呢会去召集鬼，那就一大票的鬼都跟着这个艺人，然后他可以进入人的心中，让他产生迷惑。这就是跟鬼相应，跟鬼相应。我们以前在学这个法的时候我们也学一些旁门，师尊也学过一些旁门。你看一支香点上去，3支香点着，没有风，在一个密室里面3支香点着，但是那个香呢会抖动，3支香同样插在那里，其中只有1支香会抖动，表示这个它已经降了。这很简单，可以看得出来你点3支香插着，其中1支香在抖动，2支香在抖动。这个就是灵来降，有灵来降。另外还有很多小鬼养在随身带，他有时候会通知你一些事情。
And sometimes they would notify you of certain things. The reason why the ghost witch is very attractive to many people is because she is using the ghost, because she's already in union with the ghost, so she could dispatch and employ the ghost, and she has a huge group of ghosts. And not only the ghosts that she raised herself, and she placed the ghost tablets at all the temples and centers of True Buddha school, including the faraway places overseas. Wherever she went, she would placed the ghost tablets
而且
there.
他养的是属于凶鬼凶，
And the ghosts that she raised
就是
were all the vicious
还有
and
日本人
vice ghosts,
日本人
not the kind and good ghost.
啊，另外还有那个最强的
Like
那
the
一位是
ninja
中
from
村一
Japan.
日本的
So
武士叫中村一，
the most
另外还有一个渡边一良，
violent one was Dong Chen Yi-Wu from Japan
印象养那
and
些
Dong
鬼
Bian Yilang,
三个日本鬼
and 3
2
Japanese
是属于
ghosts
华
who
人
were
的
ninja and 2 Chinese ghosts.
一个就是黄金钱，一个就是
Huang
林
Jing
良，
Qian, Lin Yangzi, they all have names.
而且这些鬼呢，又有他的鬼的 group，
So
说养了太多的鬼，
the ghosts have their own groups too, so altogether there are tremendous
真
numbers of them. So True Buddha School is almost becoming true ghost school.
其实我们尊敬正神啊，正神，
So we
你
respect
正神你就要尊敬，
the proper ghost
他
gods.
是被这个天地所册封的，属于正神。
So gods are
四天王
those who have been entitled by the heavens and
护
earth,
世四天王，
like the 4 heavenly
保护
kings
世间
who
的天王，
support
而且
and
又是
protect
财神，
the human world,
他
and
可以
they are
赐给
also
人间
wealth deities.
跟
They can bestow good fortunes and
他是
wealth
属于正神，
to the
也跟
human
四天王
beings,
相应。
so they are considered to be the proper
你也等
or
于是一
righteous
个有了
gods.
很大力的护法，
So if you gain spiritual union with the
而
heavenly
且在
kings,
欲
then
界天里面
you
还有
have
地位
gained a tremendous
还有一个天叫
protectors.
四天王天，在西弥
And
山的
in
半
the
腰有四
heavenly
天王
realms, halfway up Mount Sumeru, they are the heaven
天
of the
地
4
也
heavenly
很容易
kings.
相应。它是
So
在
between
西弥山
heaven
的
and
地
earth,
有33个天，
and on
33
top
天
of the Mount
也
Sumeru,
比
there
较
are
容易相应，
33
它也
heavens,
比较
and it's
接
quite
近人间。
easy to gain spiritual union with us, because
最
they are rather
难
close
修
to
的
the human world.
就是坐在最高的那个
And the most difficult ones are the Buddhas who are sitting at the highest
距离我们
place,
比较远，
because
距离我们人间
the
比较远，
distance
因为
to
毕竟
the
来讲
human world
四
is
天
rather
王天
far,
还是在欲界，
because the 4 heavenly kings
第四
belong to
天
the realm of
也是在
desire,
欲界，高丽
and
天也是在
Indra
欲界，
or
在欲界。
Tushita or Trayastrimsa heaven belongs to the
他们是
realm
正
of
神，
desire,
可以保护
but they are
众生的
the
众生，
proper
这些
gods,
相应都没有关系，
the correct god,
千万
so
不
they
要
can protect
养鬼，跟鬼
human
相应，
beings, but please don't
因为你将
be
来
in spiritual union
些
with
养鬼
ghosts
的这
or
些
to raise
这
any
些人
ghosts,
将来也不会
because
好
in the future any human being
因
who
为
had
鬼气在
created
身上
connection with ghosts or be in union with the ghosts would not be good, because they will
走
have
到
been
哪里
adulterated by the spirit or
走到
the
哪里，你吃了他的福，
the
都精
energy
神
of
失
the
常
ghosts, and wherever they go they
精
can
神失常
make people die or make
吃了他的
people
福的，
lose their
或
minds
者是跟着
if
他
they
走
have
的，
eaten their
都
talisman
是
or
有一点怪
follow
异，
them,
已经有鬼气
then
在
they
身
would
上，
become
都有鬼气
abnormal.
在
They
身
have
上。
been invaded by the spirit
强
of
一
the
点的
ghost.
都没有事，弱一点的马上
But
就出事。
anyone stronger is still okay. But if you are
所以
rather
按照
weak,
佛教
then
来
you
讲
would
起，
start
那是
having
属
lots of problems.
这个
So
邪
according
门邪的，不
to
是
the
正
Buddhist
不是正
tradition, then they
那
would
是
be
属于邪
considered the
像
deviant
泰国那
path,
些养小鬼，
not the
你
correct
买
or
一
the
个小
proper
鬼来
path.
供奉，
Like in
你按照这样
Thailand,
规矩给他
Thailand,
供奉，
If you buy a small ghost and then you enshrine it, and every time you make offering or worship it, then it would descend, and then you would start to be in union with it. Then you would also become one of them. Even when in this life you have obtained lots of their helps, but when you die, you would be met and guided by the ghosts. Then you would become one of them, one of the ghosts. So there is no benefits. You just gain a little bit of wealth temporarily, or fame, but it's really quite meaningless. It's better if you gain spiritual union with Jambala. What do the ghosts like? They like to create troubles, to make troubles. Their habitual tendencies are closely related to human beings. In other words, their behavior are not liberated. But for spiritual cultivators, our aspirations is for liberation, not for money or glory and honor. However, if you gain spiritual union with Jambala, the Jambala will bestow wealth upon you. And after that, once you get the money, you should do charities and give to the needed. Then that would be correct, that would be proper. So Jambala practice is wealth practices, but they are the proper deities, proper gods belonging to the Vaishravana heaven. Once you gain spiritual union with them or with him, then you would be supported, you would be helped, and you would be wealthy, and then you can support Buddha Dharma and would also be helped in your spiritual cultivation. So that's Jambala. Let me share a joke first. Although my grade's not good, my temper's not good, my temperament's not good, my look is not good, but the only thing that I can be proud of is that I have great appetite. This is something spoken by the pig. Everything is bad except the appetite. It's not a good idea to have any connection or relationship with God, with ghosts. But with the proper gods, it would be okay, it would be good. However, you may not gain any liberation from it. And the best kind is you can gain liberation and attain body, which is enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. The more you cultivate spiritually, the more open-minded, the more big-hearted you become, not so narrow-minded, because your mind and your heart would be like the cosmic space. You're totally liberated from everything. We often mention the 8 winds, that you're not blown away by the 8 winds, because your mind is just like the cosmic space, just like the sky. through your spiritual
你
cultivation,
能够容纳很多的
that you can embrace
修
lots
行
of
越高啊，他心就越像
things.
虚空一样，
The higher your spiritual
所以能
cultivation
够
is,
容百川。
that your mind would become more and more
怎么
like
样
the
子
sky.
的事情
Therefore, you can
你
embrace
都心里无
hundreds
所
of
不会有
ships,
所恐惧，
and
会
no
有
matter
所
what you
烦恼，
encounter,
也
you
不
will
会
not
影
have
响
any
到你本
fear,
身的情
and you
绪，
will not be
一切都
troubled,
很好。
and will not affect
不
your
管你
mood.
遭遇到什么事情，
Everything is
一切
fine.
都是
Doesn't
美好。
matter what you
所以
encounter.
我写这
Everything
句
is
话，
fine.
这
Therefore,
句
I
话
have
是
written this statement.
一切都是美好的安排，
Everything
一
is the
切事
best
都是
arrangement.
美好的安排。
Everything
要懂得这句话，那
is
已
the
经修
best
到境界很高了。
arrangement. That means you
一切
have
都是
reached
美
a
好，
very high state of
不管
spiritual
遇到什么
cultivation.
事，一切都是美
Everything
好，
is fine. Doesn't matter what you encounter.
不然你会困在烦恼里面。
Otherwise, you would be troubled by
那懂
your
圣人所讲
afflictions,
的这句
worries,
话。
concerns, and
我
problems.
们再谈一下今天的这个道果。
Now, let's talk a little bit about Lamdre.
静力之截断，也就是禅定的
Cutting
截断
off of the
禅定
contemplation
的截断，
or meditation.
如是以受甘露而
Thus,
增长
receiving
净
the
分，
nectar is to increase the
若生
pure
禅定，
ambrosia. If it
不
arises
生
to
脉
samadhi
气之痛，
and yet
不
creates
矫
pain
饰
of
截
the
断，
vital
其
energy
有
and
三：
channels, here is the
截
instruction to
断
stop
一
it,
脉处，
divided into
截
three
断一
sections.
开壳气，
Channels
截
area,
断
opening
心
and
结
closing the
受
chi,
软
and the
相
mind
任意，
sensation of
分成
warmth
三种。
at will.
如是以受甘露而增长净分，什么意思？
Receiving the nectar is to
因为
increase the
甘
pure
露这
ambrosia.
种
What
东
does it
西
mean? Nectar
包括了很多种都是甘露，
includes
我已经
so
讲
many
过，
things. They are
男
all
的行
nectar.
者也是甘
I have
露，
said it.
女的行者也
Even
是
the
甘露。
male practitioner is nectar. The female
所有
practitioner
人
is
身上
nectar.
的分泌物
And all the
都是甘露。
secretion inside our body are
什么是
nectar.
明点？
What
明
is
点也是甘
the
露，
light drops? The light drops
气也是
are
甘
also
露，
nectar. The chi
脉
or
也
vital
是甘
energy
露，
is also nectar.
浊佛
The
也是
channels are
甘露。
also nectar. The inner fire is the nectar.
所以它里面有决定来讲，
So,
我跟大家谈一件事情。今
let me
天
talk
跟
about
大
one
家
thing.
讲，今天中午的时候
This
跟大
afternoon,
家谈这个
I was
西雅
talking
图雷上师，
that the True Buddha School Seattle
好
Lei
像
Zhang
下个礼
Temple
拜啊，就有会零下，都是
that
零下
next
1
week
度以下。
it would be
我们西
below
雅图下个礼
0
拜都是0度以下
Celsius.
0度以下，0度以下，那么零下6度，如
So
果碰
like
到有水
if
汽，
it's
它就会
6
下水。
degrees below 0, and if there's some
如果下雪
moisture
的时
in the
候啊，
sky, there would
我
be
建议
snow.
我们生活
And
中
if
所有
it
的上师，
snows, I would suggest all the
每
True
个
Buddha
人都要
School
打
Dharma
赤
masters would take off their clothes,
打赤膊，把上衣全部脱掉，
take off all
上
their
衣全部脱
shirts,
掉。
all their
下雪
tops.
哦，下
And
雪你要把上
when
衣
it
脱
was
掉。
snowing, when it is snowing,
这个就每一个人在雪地上，
and every one
大
of
家
them
坐在雪地
would
上，
sit on the snow
上身都要脱掉，
with the naked
剩
top
下还要检查，还赤着脚，
and bare
不能
feet.
穿鞋，
They cannot wear
赤着
shoes
脚，还要盘坐，
and
要
seated
盘
with
坐
crossed
在这个庙的
legs
前面，排成
right
一
in
排
front
盘
of the
坐
temple, all lined up.
啊， 只有靠你的呼吸，
You have to rely only on your breathing
靠你的这个唾液，
and your
靠
own
你的呼
saliva,
吸跟唾液，
breathing
你
and
要在
saliva.
雪地上面坐半个小时，
You have to sit on top of the snow for half an hour with a naked top
打赤膊，
and bare feet.
这样子只穿一条内裤，
Just wearing an underpant
其他全部都是光的。
and then with nothing else. Just in
要证明
your underpant
你自己修行
to
本身
prove
佛佛有成就。
that you have attainment in your inner fire practice.
你只有靠你的呼吸，
You just have to rely on your breathing.
用呼吸来升起你身上的着火，
You use your breathing to
用你的着
ignite
火
your
来
inner
保护
fire
你
in
的
your
体温，
body, and you use your inner fire to maintain your
那
temperature,
么在西藏曾经
your
有
body
这个
temperature.
有这个喇嘛，
In
他修
Tibet,
行有
once
成就，
there was a Lama who had attained
他甚
CD
至于啊，
or have attainments in
坐
his
在
spiritual
那里还
cultivation,
流汗，
and for him, he was
汗
even
流出来
sweating,
头上还冒烟，
and there was even
甚
vapors
至于你拿
from
个
his
茶
head.
壶在上面啊，
And even if you put
这
a
个茶
teapot
壶都会
on
烧
top of
开，
his head, the water will boil.
你的湿的衣服啊披在你身上，弄的
And
水
then
的
you
冰的衣服放在
get
你身上，
wet,
衣服
frozen
都会干掉，
clothes and place it on his body, and the clothes got dry.
他们藏人在修着火的时候，在
When
那
the
种大
Tibetans
雪的天
practice the
里面，
inner fire
他们每个人修了着火，
in
还
a
绕世一
huge
圈。
snowy
他们的
snowy
寺庙是
day
庙群，
time,
你知道庙群，
and
像
they
舍
have
方寺
to go around a
或者是
huge
甘丹寺、舍那寺
monastery
这
complex
三大寺，
like the Trebong
那是修一个
Monastery
庙
or the
群，
Sarajay Monastery
庙
or
群
Kantan Monastery.
也就
It's
是
like
说
a
很
a
多的
complex of
很多的寺庙
buildings
集
and
中在一起，成
temples,
为一个庙群。
like to become a
甘
huge
丹寺的庙
monastery.
群很大的，范围很大，
And like for
绕
Kandan
世
Monastery, that's
一周，
huge, and you have to
打着赤膊，
circumambulate the
你就
monastery
剩下一条内裤，
naked, only
下
with
雪天
underpants
这样子绕世一周。
on the snowy day.
这个就是修行啊，
That is spiritual cultivation.
也不是苦行啊，反正冻不死你的。旁边还有
It's
救护
not
车，
ascetic practice
还
though,
有救护人员在旁边
because you
看
will
着
not
你。
die from
你
the
修行不够，你
freeze.
冷的牙
We
齿
we
打
would
颤，那是你
prepare
的事情。
ambulance, but if you don't have enough power in your
你
spiritual
们
cultivation,
出家
maybe
的
your
这个
teeth would
比
be
丘啊，想要参加
fighting.
都可以。
and
比
any
丘尼当然不
ordained
能打赤膊，
monks
因为
can
比丘
join.
尼打赤膊
But
就
for
变
the
成妨害
nuns,
风化。
if they take off their tops, that would be quite disturbing.
那个就是功夫啊！
So
你
that's
专心一
shows
致在你的
the
呼吸
power
上
of
面
your cultivation.
每
That's
一
the
进
kung
去
fu.
一吸，
And you are
你成为一个
totally
宝瓶，
focused on your
进
breathing,
入宝瓶，
and you take a
然后把
breath,
你的
and
丹
it
田
becomes
的
a treasure
着火
vase,
升起来，
and then you ignite the
你
inner
就可以
fire at
全
the
身很
Dantian
温暖
area. Then you would feel
不怕外
warmth
面
all
的
over
火
the
寒
body,
啊，雪呀，
and then you will not be
下
afraid
0度
of
以
the
下，
cold
我
outside.
们就可以这样子做。这
So
样子，
even in the
请所有的
snow
记者
under
来采
0
访，
degrees Celsius, and
这
we
样就
can
是轰
ask
传
all the
全美
reporters to take
美国或者
pictures,
全世界都
then it
上
would
电视。
become viral
西雅图
in
天
United States
雷
and all
藏
over
是
the
马
world,
上扬
and
名
will be
世
on
界。
TVs, then will be famous all over the world.
有我们的这个德辉上师啊，
The
领
master,
队啊，
and it would be led by our master
他们都是
Hui.
年轻人呢，
They're all young people.
年纪比我大的举手。
So please raise your hand if you're older than I am.
对呀，本来就是这样子的。
That's right, it should be like that.
没有人
It had never happened, it had never been done by anybody in America that we sit on a snowy day with naked body in meditation, relying on the breathing to ignite the inner fire. That's a kind of meditation, and you have to have great power and mastery in order to do that, to sit really upright and not moving at all. And the inner fire is going up and down and up and down, and everything would be warm. And then the snow under you or around you would all melt. So I'm preparing to do that. So if you're brave, please come. So all the monks too. If you have the courage, please join. And if you're a bhikshuni or you're a nun, you can wear something light to cover those 2 spots. That would be allowed. So we receive the nectar to increase the pure ambrosia. If you have received the nectar, your saliva will not stop. As you age, your mouth will become dry, and you use your tongue to lick your lips because you feel very dry in your mouth. But if you're a person who receives nectar, then you would not feel dry. You would have lots of liquids coming down, and you can even swallow the saliva into your tummy. And that saliva would be good for your stomach. When we eat, the digestion relies on this saliva to digest it. So if you swallow the saliva, it would be good for your stomach. Don't waste it. Lots of people in mainland China, in the past, they like to spit. Lots of the high officials, they would have that spit pot. And look at the foreign officer, the ambassador Li Hongzhang. He went to England or somewhere, and at the place where all the red carpet was at. And he did that. And those people, seeing that, just went over to clean it. And he was totally oblivious to that. And there were many high officials in the old China who always have that spit pot there. So if it's a phlegm, of course you have to spit it out. But saliva, you can swallow it. So Grandmaster too, when giving Dharma teaching, would be salivating, then I would swallow it. That's part of the spiritual cultivation. The saliva is the light drops. The saliva is the light drops, especially when it melts from this bodhicakra or bodhicitta liquid. That's the best kind of light drops of all light drops, the best kind of light drops is right here at the brow point, at the brow chakra. It's called the body chakra. So if you have received the nectar, you would increase the pure ambrosia. And what is the pure ambrosia? Then you would become more purified. And you would increase your power of samadhi. If you don't have any more nectar inside your body, then you would be sick. If there's no nectar inside your brain, then your brain would be in trouble. If you lack dopamine inside your brain, then your brain will be sick. If you lack saliva inside your mouth, then you would have fire in your body. Then the breath that you exhale would be foul. And if you don't have any nectar inside your stomach, then you would have stomach ulcer. And if you don't have insulin from your pancreas, then you would have diabetes. So inside the liver, kidneys, you would have nectar. Inside all organs would have secretion, including your skin. When the skin secretes, then you would have the youthful look. So like your face would look young. Most elderlies would have dry face, would have wrinkles, because they have lost their nectar and their secretion has decreased, and your skin would wrinkle. So that youthful ingredient would make your skin fair, bright, and shiny, and radiant, and has color. So that's also due to the light drops. However, it can arise to samadhi too. However, it can also create pain of the vital energy and channels. And there are 3 ways to stop it, to stop the pain. Actually, this is also the treasure-based energy yoga. Cutting off the contemplation by opening and closing the qi. Hold the breath, push it downward, and focus on holding the breath. The verse said, close and cover. It means forcefully breathe in and lift the lower qi and harmonize them. So this is treasure-based energy yoga. 保平气. And here, the second one is cutting off the mind sensation of warmth at will. In sum, samadhi is all the comprehension generated by the mind that is handed over to our control at will. If the place is spacious, then stop the flow of the body. If it raises and excites, then stop it through the mouth. Whatever comes to mind and create noises, if the space is tight, willfully stop the mind sensation of warmth. What is doing anything at will or with control? It talks a lot about this, which means you just go with the flow, let it be. Just to let it be.
我们在禅定的时候，什么是禅定？就是
So
心
meditation, what is meditation?
专注于一的时
When the
候，
mind
就
is
叫禅定。
single-minded, focus on
你
one point.
心如果能够专注于一，
If your mind can be single-minded, focus on one
但
point,
是你
that is
心
meditation.
如果随顺，就叫
However,
任意。
if the
又叫
mind
任
is
意。
just go
心
with the
如果
flow,
随顺，
that's
你的
called
念
just
头
letting it
随
be.
顺，就叫任意，就叫任意。
So if you just let your thoughts be, that's called
因为
letting
你
it
有了
be.
禅定以后，你让它任意，
Because you
让它
have
心随顺，
meditation already, and then you
随顺
just let it be.
但是你保持那一种
However,
那一
you
种任
also
意，保持
maintain
那一种
that
随顺，
letting
这个
be.
非常难讲，
So
非常
you
难解
you
释。
put it under control,
我
under
们
your
晓得
control
禅定是这
at
样，
will. It's very
禅
difficult to
定
explain.
念头集中
We
在一个
know
点
that
上，
meditation is focusing
例如
on one
集
point.
中在
For
准提
example,
佛母的第三眼，
on the third eye of the
你
Jundi
一
Buddha
直念
Mother,
着她的第三眼，
and you are always
就进
mindful
入定
of her
禅
third
定里面。
eye, and then you enter into meditation.
突然间，你把这
And
个
all of a sudden,
准提佛母的第三眼给它忘了，
you have forgotten about the
忘
third
掉的时
eye
候，
of
那
Jundi
个
Buddha Mother.
忘掉她的第三眼的时候，
At the moment when you are
你的
forgetting
心
the
随
third
顺
eye,
于她的忘掉，
your mind
这个
just
就是任意，
let that
这个
forgetfulness
就已
be.
经是任意了。
So this is called
但是你任意，如果
letting
你
it
想
be.
到，哎，有别的不好的念头进来，
But if
你
you
又
have
回
other
到
bad
了准提
thoughts
佛母的第三
arising,
眼，
then you go back to the third eye of Jundi
这个
Buddha
方法
Mother
就
again.
是一个是止，
So this method is called stopping and
你
visualizing.
回到第三眼的时候就是观，
When you return to the third eye,
你
that's
任
called
意的时候
visualizing.
就是止。
When you're just letting it be,
那
that's
时候没有
stopping.
妄念产生，
There's
如果有
no
妄念产生的时候，
extraneous
你
thought
又回到
appearing.
第三眼，这是叫做止。
But when there's a thought appearing, then you start
这
visualizing
是一个
again.
方法。
So this is one method called dual execution of stopping and visualizing.
最高的境界就是
So
任意，
the highest state of this dual
这里
execution
面有提
is
到
called just letting it
所谓
be.
身的任意。那时候
So
你
the
不一
letting
定
it
要
be of the body.
要，就是你什么坐姿都可以，坐着也可以，
So whatever
或
position
者
is
你
fine.
双盘也可以，
You can just
单
sit.
盘也可以，
You can just
如
be
意坐
in
也
single
可以。
lotus,
这
double
个叫
lotus
做身
position,
任意，
or just
身体的
sitting
任
at ease.
身任意，
So that's the letting it,
截
the
断
letting
于
the
口
body
任
be,
意。
or letting
一
the
般来讲，
mouth
口是
be.
不说话的。
Generally
但是口
speaking,
虽
the
然不
mouth
说话，
does not
你
speak.
心里还是会说话。
Even when the mouth doesn't
禅定
speak,
的
your
时候，心
mind
里还是
can
会说
also
话，并不
speak.
是说你的口不说话，
In meditation, your
跟
mind
心
can
有时候
still
心里还
speak.
是会说话，心里会产生很多的话出来。
There are lots of speech arising from the mind.
所以
Inside
口
the
本身
mind
也要注意。好，
So that's why you want to pay attention to the mouth as well.
随心所想，即出鲜华之声等地方狭义时，为心接受之软相，截断任意。如果以心的接受，应该以着火，以着火
If it's
来截断任
the
意。它的
sensation
意思是这样，这一段。
of the mind is then you
但
use
这
the
个是
inner
非常难
fire
讲，非常难
to
讲
cut
这
it
个
off by letting it be.
禅定
It's
最深的
extremely
地方。
difficult to explain. This is the most profound or deepest part of meditation.
啊，这些天呢，有大雨，豪大雨啊！这几天有豪大雨，这是一个笑话。
This is a joke. These few
这个
days it's
老
been
百姓
raining
问
really heavily.
高雄跟台南有
And the
大
boss
水有
asks,
淹吗？有淹吗？
and Kaohsiung and Tainan,
这
is
个
it
官
flooded?
员讲没淹。
And the official said no.
这百姓又问：那台中、桃园、
And then the people
大
asked
台
again, how
北
about
有淹
Taichung,
吗？
Taoyuan, and
官员
Taipei?
也说
Are they
没有淹，
flooded? No.
下好大雨，但是没有淹。
Even after heavy
然
rain.
后百姓再问：
And
那
the people
到
asked again,
那哪里有淹呐？
then
官
where?
员
Where is it flooded?
总统的专机才有淹。
And the official said, it's only the privilege, only the presidential, the
这是一个
president
政治笑话，对不对？
place
这个政治笑话。
has it. But actually the flooded also means cigarettes.
台湾
So
这个
only
总统的座机，他有走私香烟，就是这样，有走私香烟。
only the presidential aircraft would have
我为什
cigarettes.
么讲这个
It's
笑话？
play of words in Chinese. But why did I tell this
我
joke?
们在禅定当中，最
In
重要的一件
meditation,
事
the
情
most important thing
就是你在禅定的时候，你已经
is
不知道你自己是在禅定。
when you are in meditation, you don't even know or
那
you're
个
not
就是超
aware
越
that
的
you
禅
are in
定。
meditation. Then you
如
have
果你认为
transcended
说
meditation.
我精神集中在一个点上面，
If you think that
那是
by
专一禅
focusing
定
on
没有
one
错。
point,
但
that's
毕竟没有
meditation,
超
that's
越禅定。
correct, that's concentration, but that's
当
not
你在禅定的
transcendence
时候，你知
meditation.
道是在禅定，
But in
而且
meditation,
完
you're
全
not
忘掉
aware
一切，
of meditation and you have forgotten
那个就是
forgotten
对
everything.
超
Then
超
there
越
would
的
be
禅定。
leaping or transcending the meditation, leaping over the meditation.
下好大雨，
It
哪
rained
里都没有
heavily.
淹。
It's not flooded anywhere. Flooded or it has no
这
cigarettes
个笑话
everywhere.
是这样的。下好大雨，就是你本
So
身还有很多的杂念，
when it rained heavily,
但
it
是这些
means
好大
that
雨
you have
都没
lots
有
of
影响到
thoughts.
你，
But
那些杂念
this
都没
heavy
有影响
rain
到
does not affect you at all. So which
你，
means
你就
all
不
of
会被
those
淹。
torrents of thoughts not affecting you at all, then you will not be
这样听
flooded
得
by
懂
them.
吗？
Now do you understand? So you're not flooded by the torrent of rains or torrent of
像这
thoughts.
个，像我们禅定来讲，
So
师
when we
尊不是
meditate,
没有什么妄念，很多。
so
所以
it's
妄
not
念
that
就像好
Grandmaster
大
has
雨。
no
我们
thoughts.
讲妄念
There
开始
has many.
就像瀑布，
So we often say that the
这种瀑
thoughts
布下来
initially
非
are
常的
like
多，
waterfalls,
从来不
lots
停
and
的，
lots
一
of
个
them,
念头接一个念头不
non-stop,
停的。
thought after
虽然
thoughts.
念头那么多，
Although you have so many
但是你
thoughts,
打坐的时候，
but in
不受这些
meditation,
念头的影响，
you're not affected by those thoughts.
这个就是超越的
So
超
this
越。
means you have
没有厌
transcended.
意思就是超越，超越。
So you're not flooded, which
妄
means
念
you
是一
have
定有的，
transcended. Of course, you
每
will
个
have
人都一定有
thoughts.
妄
Every
念，
single being would.
但你把妄念减少，就已经
But if you
开始
decrease
进步
them,
了。妄念越来越
that's
少，
an
越来越少，
improvement, and
就已
it
经进
gets
步了。
less and
可
less
是
and
你
less,
到
and
时候
that's
有妄念的
improvement.
时候，这些妄念不
But
能够影响
when
你
you
的
have
禅定，
thoughts, you cannot let those
不影
thoughts
响你，
affect your
而且
meditation,
把妄念全部平息
cannot
掉，
let them affect you, and then you silence them all.
这个就是超越的，
You quiet them
超
all.
越的。
That means you have
我只能够这样
transcended
子解释。
all those running thoughts. That's all I could explain.
这个房东呢，陪着新的房客来看房子，
The landlord
房客
accompanied
就
a
讲
new
看
tenant
来这个屋
to
子
check the
经常
house,
漏水，
and the prospective
这房客也可以看出来屋子有没有
tenant
漏
said
水。
that, oh, it
房东
looks
讲，
like the house often
哦，
leaks
不不，
in And the landlord said, no, it leaks only during rainy days.
当然下雨天才漏啊，
Of
不下
course,
雨漏水
if it
不是
doesn't
吓死人
rain
吗？
and it still leaks, that would be quite scary.
但是很多人都是也是一样这样子辩论。
Many people argue like
我
that.
们去看那个房子有没有漏水的时候，你可以
When
看
we
那
check
个
houses for
屋檐
leaks,
有没有水灾。
you can check the ceilings if there are marks
那
of
个读的
water.
折吧，3点水一个折。渍，看看有没有水渍啊，看看有没有水渍。注意看，你说你要租房子啊，买房子啊，通通都要注意到这些事情。
So if you're buying a house or renting a place, you want to check for them. 有一个室友室友，也就是一般来讲，我们学校里面去读书的时候，都会有室友。室友说，我晚上睡觉会打呼。 Like a roommate. When you're in school, you have roommate.
我才不信。
The roommate said that I snore at night. That to bother the roommate. So but I don't believe that. So last night I did not sleep to watch if I snore. So I did not, see? And my roommates were trying to lie to me. Of course, this is a joke.
打呼的时候就已经睡着了。
So you snore only when you have fallen asleep.
那你有谁知道自己打呼的？
Is there anyone that knows that they snore?
你为什么会知道？
How come you know?
我告诉你啊，有时候打呼把自己吵醒。
Sometimes you snore and you wake yourself up.
你一定睡觉的时候打呼把自己吵醒。
So you must be snoring in your sleep and then you wake yourself up from the loud sound.
你的这个
Second, you can check
早上醒过来是不是
your
很干？
mouth and your throat if it's really dry
非常干的话，
when
你
you
就
wake
表
up
示
the
说
next morning.
你已
If it's
经把所有的
extremely
霉
dry,
全部呼掉。
then you have exhaled
打呼都
all of your light
全部
drops
呼
through your
掉
snoring.
那个早上醒过来的时候，没有唾
When
液，
you
口很干，
Wake up in the morning and you have no more saliva, you have very dry mouth, then you should notice if you snore.
打呼好不好？
Is it good to
医
snore or
学
not? According to medical
是吧？
view, no good. Not good.
才有声音呢、很多人都会打呼了。
Many people snore.
有没有人被自己打呼吵醒？有啊。
Anybody woken up by their own snore?
你们有没有做运动？
Do you
像伏地挺
exercise
身啊，
like
有
you
啊哈
push-ups?
我们雷藏是做大礼拜，就是做伏地挺身。
At this
师尊也每天做
Lechang
伏地挺
temple,
身。
when we do prostrations, we do
这里有一个
push-ups,
人
and
运动的
Grandmaster
笑话
too.
我
do push-ups
决
every
定
day.
每天坚
There's
持
jokes about
仰
exercise.
卧起坐。就是
Every
当然
day,
仰卧起坐，但是
I
这
do sit-ups
很好
consistently,
晚上呢，
and at
睡
night,
觉的时候啊，就是卧。
during sleep,
早上醒过来再仰。
oh, this is
那
also
每天 做仰卧起坐是
dissecting the different words and use it.
早上起来的时候就仰，
Because sit-ups in Chinese is like
就叫
getting
仰卧
up
起坐。
from
那
lying
有做
down.
等于没做，所以我们不能欺骗自己哦。
So
我刚刚讲的，
so that
着火
means
是
you're
不能
not
骗
doing
人
it.
的。
So you can lie to yourself. Like I said earlier, the inner fire,
着火是不能骗人的。到时
you
候大
can't
家
lie
大
about
吃
your
火，
inner fire. So at a specific time, everybody take
那
off
坐
your
不住的。
clothes.
我想应该
Anybody
说大
that
家都坐得住，
cannot
咬
stand it.
牙切齿也要做。
I think you probably would stand it, even if your teeth are
半个小时很容易过了。
tapping against each other. Half an hour is very fast.
我们重要的学这个禅
The
定，
important thing
学禅
is
定真的是
in
一个
practicing
很重要的
meditation.
问题。
Meditation is a
为什么要禅
very
定？
important
禅
issue.
定天地阔，
Why do we have to meditate?
它可以增长。第一个
Because
增
by
长你自己
meditating,
本身的智慧，
you would open
第二个
wide,
增长你的明
would
点，
increase your
增
own
长你的
wisdom,
明点
increase your light drops,
啊，你的明点会下降，
and your light drops would drip,
全身都充满，
would fill all
而你
parts
的
of your
着火
body,
也会升起。
and your inner fire too can rise.
所以我们学佛的人很注意这个
So
所谓的静力。
therefore,
静力
Buddhist
就是禅定，
practitioners
它这里面没有讲禅定，
stress
只是
great
讲静力。
importance on
静力也就是
contemplation
禅
and
定。
meditation.
我们学佛
Contemplation
的
is
时
the
候
same as meditation.
要智慧增
In
长，
our Buddhist practice, we want
镜
to
像增长。
increase or
你
enhance our
能够看到
wisdom,
的光，也是靠禅定。
and
看到
you
光
have
是
to
看
rely on meditation in order to see
着火
lights.
升起也是靠禅定。
The arising of the inner fire also relies on the meditation. The descent of the light drops too, and the opening of the 5 chakras all rely on meditation.
那你的智慧明点增长，
And
全部都要靠禅
And the increase of the wisdom of the light drops all
So,
rely on
我们学
meditation.
佛
So in our
就是
Buddhist
也要学习
practice,
禅定的，
Buddhist training, we have to practice
使你的
meditation.
精神能够集中，
And only in
能够
meditation
专心
you
一致。
can be
佛
in
陀
full
曾经讲
concentration to be single-minded.
这
The
个
Buddha once said,
道家也是这样子讲，老子也
and
讲
the same
守
with
一
Lao Tzu in Taoism.
则万事毕，守一万事
So
就可以
those
结束。佛
holding
陀也这样讲，
those
你
in
如果能够
oneness
专
or concentration, then everything is stopped.
能够专
If you
一的
can
话
be, the Buddha
很
also
多
said,
事
if you
情
can be in full
都可以成就
concentration, then you
得
can
到。我马来北米后。
succeed in many things.
Hello.